Welcome to Bit Boy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community from here all the way to Pluto. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday, 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we talk about your favorite topics with your favorite guests. And remember, no channel works harder to keep you in the know when it comes to crypto. But we're going to go ahead and start with our panel on the top right, fresh with his Bitcoin tie. Fun fact, he paid for that tie with Bitcoin 2012, spent half a Bitcoin on it. Man. We're just kidding. Then on the bottom right, he's wearing plaid because we're going to be talking about Plaid Network later. It is Crypto Blood. Then on the bottom left, straight from making duck calls and Duck Dynasty set, it is Tim Warren, sorry. Really excited to have you on. Definitely want to get your take on some TA. And then on the top left, straight out the Pluto Alliance Discord, we had a really great group call. Tons of people listening. And if you want to know more about Pluto Alliance, PlutoAlliance.com. We have the official links if you want to join the ecosystem. But today we're going to be talking about USD's effects against some of these other currencies. And does this spell good hope for Bitcoin? Also, Plaid Network getting a whole lot of customer data. What is this going to mean for you and KYCing, not KSC? And then Matic and Disney teaming up. Huge partnership. Maybe the world's largest media company, teaming up with one of the largest L2s in the space. So this is going to be very bullish. But before we do that, let's look at the crypto market, see where things are going. And it has been a pretty good day. We just refresh here. Up 5% on Bitcoin, up almost 11% on Ethereum. Massive gains. Bitcoin pushing above 20,000. Was looking pretty bad yesterday. And then Ethereum shooting all the way up almost to 1,200. Crypto Lifer, I'm going to bring it to you first here. We've seen some massive gains seemingly out of nowhere. When I saw the pump, I immediately checked the Dow Jones. I checked the NASDAQ. They're remaining flat. This was pumping really hard, at least relative to that. So what is going on with the markets? Can you decipher why this pumped so hard?
Well, did you check the S&P? The S&P is directly correlated to Bitcoin, and I've been looking at the ES1 mini futures, and they will look exactly the same as Bitcoin. This morning, it's funny, I called a short squeeze because I use Bookmap. Normally, the stochastics RSI on the 15-minute, like this was what happened today. Look, again, it was a Sammy cup and handy. I know it's weird, but there was a cup and handle there that got us out on the 7-minute this morning. We've been trading it too, along with MSwap. MSwap's been banging with this move. But when I looked at the 15 here and I took a look at it, we were super oversold in the stochastic. Everyone started to short, right? But if you know liquidity in order books, I started looking at Bookmap. And I've seen this play out now. I'm become like, this is like a story we keep seeing. Pin stochastics, and they rail the shorts. So when I saw it really a minute, like 2 minutes before, because I just seen it so many times, I was on my live this morning. I said, man, I think they're going to rail the shorts here. Let's open up Bookmap. And then we saw the liquidations come in on Bookmap, and it was beautiful. It was a perfect way to see how Bookmap works. And bang, 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 we saw people just getting shredded. And then we made a flag here on the 7, and sometimes the 7-minute can actually take you to. And the 7-minute made this flag while the 15-minute was pinned. Bang, we hit it off. Now, the thing is, we needed to break above the point of control, 20,500. We did that. That's awesome. We need to stay above it. That's our big deal. So I looked at this rising wedge. Rising wedges can break up parabolic. If we can bounce and retest off the zone, you're looking for a move up into this next batch of liquidity here at 21,000. Let's look quickly at the daily just so I can show you just simplistic low, higher, low, higher, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We need to put in a higher high right in here to continue the trend. Look at the 22-hour. How interesting is this? Every time it got low, boom, boom. Here we go again, boom. So I've been trading the 22-hour. It seemed to have flipped the daily. So I've been finding other pockets of space and time to see what I'm seeing in Bitcoin. It's been fun. It's been interesting. All we need to do is get above this zone here, create some flags in smaller time frames, and the daily could actually get above and make a new higher high. So I'm excited. This is also a W, isn't it, everybody? I mean, am I the only one that sees this? That's a W. W's break up 68% of the time, and that would take us to the next area here, somewhere in this region, $25,000. So that's what I see, and it was a fun day for trading. It was awesome. I love watching shorts get wrecked. I'm a man.
All right, wait, yeah. You're talking about those shorts getting shredded. We never
I
like
love
traders
short,
to
but
get.
I like watching shorts getting rocked.
Yeah, I mean, they got
Sorry
shredded.
If you got rocked. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah,
but
you got rocked. But let us move forward. Yeah, and a really great decipher from Crypto Lifer, as always. But let's look at this tweet from Arthur Hayes. I want to talk about USD's effect to what is happening with Bitcoin. And this is the Japanese yen and the euro. And expect an intervention to weaken if the euro or the yen hits above these levels. Intervention is going to mean Fed printing money. And we can see here, this is the yen just falling against the dollar. Same thing happening with the euro. There are some bad effects to this. It's not just great for the dollar, right? It's all good things. No, there are some downside risks to this. For instance, you're going to have foreign entities. They may have additional debt. This might create additional strain. We're going to have more suffers from exporters. Say you're based in the U.S., you got to export to Japan, you got to export to Europe. They're going to be able to afford less of your product now, and as well as tourism. Now we can expect, maybe people coming from overseas, they're not going to want to come to America because their dollar is going to have less purchasing power. Now, Ben, Arthur Hayes, he was saying, this might turn on the money printer again. Do you agree with that being a possibility? Does the U.S. look at its parity against these other currencies as one of their metrics on whether or not they want to make machine go burr?
No, I don't think so. I think they just think about, can we pull it off? Can we do it? Can we pat our pockets? I think what's really interesting here is, number one, Arthur Hayes is never right about anything. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, but look at everything he's ever said. It's always jaded because he's got some ulterior motive for what he's saying. People know BitMEX was extremely scandalous that he was behind in the 2017 run and previous to that as well. He actually got arrested along with his co-founders. They thought they could be in San Francisco and co-found, a foreign exchange and let Americans trade there and get away scot-free. Now, I don't remember what ultimately the fine was. I mean, he's not going to prison, looks like. But the fact is, he's always got an angle with everything. So I want to say that first, that I don't put a lot of credibility. And the funny thing is, really, most people that are in crypto right now, they have no idea who this is. They hear Arthur Hayes. I've had to tell people who Justin Sun is. Like, that's crazy. Like, Justin Sun was like the most polarizing person in crypto for like a whole year and a half to 2 years, maybe even longer. And now newer people coming in, unless they're on to Tron, they don't really know much about him. So we see this cycle when it comes to people that are important in the space. Arthur Hayes used to be probably one of the top 5 people, most important people in all of crypto. He's no longer that. He still tries to get his, extend his 15 minutes of fame, if you will. But, we're all on a 15 minutes of fame timer, when you're popular in crypto. But hopefully, maybe it's a 21-minute timer because of Bitcoin. But addressing the issue at hand here, what you're seeing is the reason why the dollar is getting stronger is because these other currencies are getting weaker faster than ours is getting weaker. Ours is still peaking, actually, because the inflation still, it's still going up, hasn't swung back the other way. So now DXY is the comparison of the value of US dollars versus foreign currencies. It's not actually purchasing power, but people need to understand that. But I can certainly see a situation to where if Japan turns their money printer back on, and if what was the other country you mentioned?
It was euro. The yen and the euro,
right? The yen, because the euro is now less than the value of a dollar, I believe, or 1-to-1, whatever it is. If that happens and they turn back on their printers, what do you think that's going to do to the DXY? How much stronger is that DXY going to get? That certainly would be a very scary prospect. If multiple countries start printing and we're the last ones to print. If you go and you look at the pandemic, what's really interesting is we were the first country to print. We turned it back on and we turned it on and we printed hard because we had all those stimulus checks. And what you saw is that the other countries that waited a little bit longer to figure out what to do, they had the same issues we did, but we just had our crash completely at the beginning, of it, where some of the other countries that got impacted for much, much, much longer periods of time. And our stock market was able to run haywire over here because of the way that we did it. And so I can certainly see a situation where now maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they turn on their printers first. And then all of a sudden, our dollar gets out of control. Inflation maybe starts dropping as well. And then we've got the perfect storm to really turn the printer back on because the value of it's so strong that when you print more of it, it's going to weaken it a little bit, but it's so strong it's not going to have that huge of an impact for a while. And they're always playing the long game with pushing inflation down the road.
All right, that's a good point, saying that we were the first to print. Now they're kind of reversing course. Now they say they're too legit to print. Hey. So, Tim, on this note, some of these other index, I kind of want to know from a TA perspective, do you ever look at the DXY when you're doing any TA? Do you look at the Fed interest rates? I know we have like a megaphone pattern forming on that? Do you look at the Euro USD parity? Because on a lot of these metrics, we're hitting, very strong resistance. But when people are trading Bitcoin, they're mostly just kind of looking at the Bitcoin USD chart, maybe the Bitcoin ETH chart. So do those other charts and do the TA of these other indexes and these other metrics, does that ever play a role in your trading?
Well, absolutely with the DXY. So the DXY Bitcoin is not perfectly inverted, but it's pretty stinking close to inverted. So with the DXY, going really high, now it's coming back down. That kind of explains a little bit why Bitcoin could be pumping right now. As far as, I was reading this article earlier, and Ben, I'm so glad you said that with Arthur Hayes, because you're absolutely correct. I read this and my first thought was, this is like a person trying to get healthy and deciding to go for a jog with a cigarette in their mouth. There's no sign that inflation is done being handled. I know a lot of people, I talked with Wendy O this morning about this, the government's going to want you to believe that they got this under control. The White House came out this week saying, hey, the numbers are overinflated, they're outdated, it's not that bad. When in reality, if you're looking at charts that no one ever, I can't remember the name of the chart was, but it was showing that inflation is actually probably sitting a little closer to 17%, 18% right now. If you were to track it accurately, the same way they tracked it 40 years ago, we're going back to matching the same levels of about 40 years ago. Inflation is not done. And so when I hear some of these narrations of like, hey, we're hitting the peak of inflation, we kind of topped out, we're going to start moving sideways, maybe even start going down. My response to that is, I got to see that one before I actually believe it. It's just simple. It is just simple. When you print money at the magnitude that the United States government decided to print and did nothing about it, and then the Fed just dragged their feet all the way down the road. I went back and looked at the charts and the dates and the times when we had the inflation rates come out, and then you had the FOMC meeting come out and respond. They started too late. And so, a lot of people are going to sit here and want the Fed to be able to come out and give bullish news. The truth is, they're even trying the best they can to present all the data, the charts, the numbers they keep coming out with. It's like, I don't believe that number is true. When we looked at that unemployment number, who believed that number was true? When we're looking at these inflation numbers, 9.1 was higher than the expected 8.8. Is that number true? Like, could be a lot higher than 17. So they're going to do their best they can to get those numbers to where they can continue to manipulate the story and try. But one of the tools that we look at here on the channel, I'm going to pull it up so I can share my screen real quick. I don't know if any of you guys, well, let's see which one. Yes. See right there, share. Let's go over here. You guys see my screen?
Very
negative.
Small. There you go.
No,
there you go.
You don't.
The white, Fed rate.
Now we do.
Yes, the white
monitor
this
tool.
Fed rate monitor tool. So this tool right here, I don't know if any of you guys have used this, but this is the prediction of what the next FOMC meeting is going to respond with. So right now, currently, we're sitting at 1.75. So our interest rate is at 1.75. So these are the predictions. One of the predictions is that we'll go up 50 basis points to 2.25. The other is 75, sitting at 2.5 or 2.50. Look at what it used to be, though. Here, 2 days ago, or last week. Let's start with last week. Last week, 95% of people betting on this here in the next 2 weeks, what the Fed was going to decide, 95 thought that we were going to stay at 50. Only 4.3 said that we were going to go as high as 75. Yesterday, the number started to shift. So after that news came out, it very quickly started moving to where 82% said that we were going to go to, let's see, what is that? 82 said we're going to go to 75, 17. Right now, we're currently sitting, a little bit above 50-50, but this number has completely shifted multiple times, going back and forth. The numbers keep going back and forth. This is really interesting to watch over the next 2 weeks as these futures play out. Actually, my team's been tracking it. This predicting tool has been pretty accurate. So as it stands right now, as we're talking, it does look like the 50 basis points coming back into control, but there's a lot of data that's still got to come out. A lot of interesting information has got to come out. I can go ahead and stop sharing here. I'm interested to see over the next couple of weeks what ends up happening, but I'm just sitting here. I think there's actually, there's some narratives even saying that there's going to be a lot of pressure to go ahead and jump all the way to 100 basis points. So with that being said, when you go back to that question of are we going to start printing money anytime soon, the only rational argument for that would be, again, the same mindset that a jogger has with smoking at the exact same time.
All right. Well, appreciate that. Yeah, and if you want to check that out, investing.com, just look out Fed rate monitor tool. Quick shout out to Sean New World Crypto. Great panel today. Ben Blood, Tim Leifer. He said it's the Avengers of crypto. And once again, Crypto Billy the GOAT saying, check out Leifer, Cup, Handle, Frankie Candles, check out NFT Alpha, all that good stuff. But last question on this topic, Blood, the Fed, they can't decide what they want, but I'm going to ask you, can they decide the reason? Do you think that they're more concerned with inflation in the U.S., or are they more concerned with DXY? Because there are some, it's not just Bitcoin that gets affected with that. You think of any American company that has a lot of international exposure, IDXY is also going to hurt them as well. So do they factor in DXY, or they only care about internal inflation? What do you think they're worried about when they set their rates?
Oh, they don't even know what they're worried about. They're just trying to save face, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to say this about Arthur Hayes. I actually think he's right, but for the wrong reason. So they're not going to weaken the dollar because the yen goes above 150 or the euro goes below parity. They like a weak yen is great. We want that. So that's number one. That's a great carry. That is the number one carry trade currency that we have. So a weaker yen is cool. Euro, it's just gonna die. We've been calling for the euro dying for 20 years now. It's finally on its way out, I think, personally. If you look at Brent Johnson, I want people to go search the milkshake theory. I think it is really playing out. He's finally getting his credit, in my opinion. I think we're going to have the dollar melt up before we see, a massive turn or devaluation of our currencies. So your question though, DZ, having a weak dollar or strong dollar is actually good for us. We consume. We're a consumer nation. So that means we can buy things at a cheaper price, right? So I don't think it's really that big of a deal to me, to be honest with you. If we were a nation that actually made stuff and exported things, then it would be an issue because we're making things at a very high price. It costs us a lot more to make it to then export it. But in this scenario, honestly, I see the dollar continually going higher, guys. It's crazy to say, but it looks like Brent Johnson was right.
Dang, Brent was right. The people are mad, and from the man wearing plaid, let's move on to Plaid Network, and they've had their issues. They recently had a financial suit about $58 million to settle a class action by customers who said, hey, you're taking too much information from me. This is a banking information company. If you don't want to create this whole infrastructure of you got to get the socials, you got to get the credit, you got to have this database of customer information, you would use a company like Plaid. They just connected with Binance.us, Gemini, Robinhood, and SoFi to their network. Later on, they're going to have even more. I think BitMEX was maybe on that list. So think of helping connect a Venmo or a Chime or a Zelle. And now customers are going to be able to share their crypto account information along with their regular asset balances, their regular bank account, fusing all this data into one nice, simple place. Now, Ben, we talk about bridging. We've got to bridge Web 2 and Web 3. Plaid is doing that. But when you think of crypto, you don't like just giving out all of your information. Is Plaid and the Plaids of this world going to be necessary in the future?
Well, it depends on how far in the future you want to talk, because I would say right now, yeah, probably the best thing going to be able to do this. But what are you trading? Like what are you trading with this? Where's all this data going? Who's getting all the data on all your transactions? Now, this is where we are really, if people haven't figured this out as a company here, we stay on the cutting edge of what's next. And I'm already looking at what is next. We are working on this NFT platform, which is a big focus of us and several people that are involved in this with us right now. And I'm already looking at, okay, after we get this complete, after we get this rolled out, which will be probably, towards the end of this year or sooner, possibly, what's the next thing I need to start vision casting and figure out where we're going to play a role in? And data is the answer to this. I'm very confident in that. However, what is the biggest problem with Web 2? It's the intrusion of your privacy within that data. We look back at the Cambridge Analytica scandal, of course, kicked all this off. I mean, you really go back to Edward Snowden and what the NSA was doing as well. So Plaid is not a solution to this. Plaid is a middleman that's going to plug you from point A to point B, and they're going to get everything that goes in the middle of that. They're going to understand every transaction you make, what you're buying with these companies, and they're going to be able to sell those data points. That's what they all do. Imagine, though, if we had a privacy sandwich. We had a sandwich whenever we went to try to plug a platform into a platform. Okay. So let's say you wanted to plug your MetaMask, for instance, into, NFT.platform, just for instance. you have MetaMask, but there's nothing really in the middle there. All the data is getting moved back and forth. What if there was like a piece of meat in the sandwich to where it actually protected the information from one of those places from the information of the other place? And if you can't make heads or tails of what information is being swapped, then you don't know what happened. It's almost kind of like a privacy coin, right? So privacy, now privacy coins are very interesting. They have a use case, but I don't think they're ever going to be the predominant force in crypto because there's just too many problematic issues with money laundering and with the governments not wanting those kinds of coins. However, if we were to be able to have privacy layers on our data that allows us to be in control of our data and to be able to do things conveniently without having to give that information up to places. So ultimately, Plaid is a stopgap until we get there. And it could be a kind of thing where Plaid could work within these privacy layers as well. But this is something you're going to start hearing a lot more about, because we move from Web 2, where we ruin generations of privacy, to Web 3. We've got to make sure that we're doing it in a way that's not going to allow Web 3 to turn into a worse version of Web 2.
Yeah, and you think of the Web 2 model, I remember Target, huge data hack. Every single female I know still loves Target. No one cares. Best Buy, Circuit City, same situation. We see it over and over. Now,
Lifer, Target, though.
It's Target. And yeah, definitely Target. All right, now, Lifer, you're an active trader, and, I know there's a lot of degens out there. You're always advising caution, but there's the degens out there trading the 1 minute chart, 20 trades a day. If you look at 365 days a year, it's over 7,000 trades, 7,000 taxable events. Plaid, companies like that, a lot of that, they can aggregate that data for you. But would you ever consider using a product like that? I mean, for someone that is going to have a lot of taxable events, what would you recommend? Would it be data collection software like this, or would it be maybe just tax software, crypto tax software? Do you have any tools or tips?
Yeah, no, I've been trading like 15 years. 7 years I was just playing on my phone. But then, even 7 years ago, I had pages of trades on the NASDAQ and trading gold. I was trading gold and silver ETFs, and I was trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange a lot. I love gold. That's what got me into Bitcoin in the first place. That's why when Celsius happened, I couldn't believe, I never felt the need to, I was afraid to ever give my Bitcoin away. If I had maybe 20 of them, maybe I would have put 2 or 3, but I didn't have enough. So in my mind, I was like, I'm really afraid of giving anything to anyone. Like, I've been robbed before. My house has been broken into. I've been broken into twice in my life. When it comes to, privacy and security, I'm always, you can set up your wallet 2 different ways for Trezor. You can use the SMR, the Shamir, where you can use 4. I always try to do more, because I'm like, we'll go after the easy guy. I do use Plaid, though. For my accountant, he can look through all my accounts. It's so easy. And it made accounting very easy for me now. So I can just bling, 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 and then he takes care of it. And I don't have to, he can see my account and all my accounts, do whatever he needs to do. So I really like that feature. I think it gets implemented in some of the things I do with PayPal in the back end and stuff. It's hard because they control so much. Like, I won't even know half the things they're doing on the back end. Like Ben said, there's going to be a sandwich and there's going to be lettuce, tomatoes, and pickles, and I'm not going to know where I am in the middle of it. Like, I'm hoping there's going to be a Web 3.0 revolution where the person becomes the forefront, and that's where they actually that's the marketing tactic, is to keep you whole, to keep you safe. I thought that's where we were going. I'm me and I connect to all the sites. You don't take me and bring me where you want. Like, I go where I want, and then I block what data kind of gets seen of mine. I'm hoping that becomes more of the forefront. However, data has been just completely taken from the user. Privacy has been stolen, and it's sad. One last thing I got to say, just because I'm this is bearish divergence on the DXY here, and you do have hidden bullish divergence on Bitcoin. I just got to say that, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. But I do look at the DXY every single morning, and I look at the S&P every single morning, and I look at the Dow Jones, I look at gold, and I look at the U.S. Tether dominance and Bitcoin dominance. I look at all 6 of these for a half an hour at the beginning of the day to make sure, because they all affect the markets. Plaid freaks me out a little bit, I'll be honest.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your take and your honesty about using it there. All right. Now, Tim, we're looking at Plaid. They purchased Cognito January of this year. Cognito's a KYC company where they get crypto companies' customer information specifically. Is KYC going to be the norm of crypto moving forward? As we move forward to the march of time, are we getting more KYC and more centralized, or are we getting closer to, say, Satoshi's vision, you know, the next 2, 3, 4 years?
Well, I mean, we're getting closer. Obviously, they're going to be implementing KYC with almost everything, and that defeats the whole purpose of why a lot of people wanted to get into crypto in the first place. And it's all the more reason why I do think at some point we will see some form of a revolution, or we'll just go ahead and abide with whatever the government says, and we'll accept the little tidbits and little pieces of decentralization all around. In the background, though, the big guys are still going to be controlling the puppets. It's one of those things with this whole topic. I'm newer. See, I'm newer than you guys. So I'm assuming most of you guys have been here for a while. I got into crypto. Jeb convinced me to get into Bitcoin back in, it was August of 2020. And then I didn't really start updating my research and updating how I learned and my education in the space until January of 2021. So I'm newer here, right? And what I'm learning, and kind of Ben hinted at this, I think things like this are going to make a splash because there are still a lot of younger people who have not had enough time in this space to do their research. I don't know when the last time it was for you guys that you signed up for an exchange. I don't know why I'm looking at the camera over there. My camera's right here now. I don't know the last time you guys had to sign up for the first time and start moving money over. I'm telling you, for newer people, because I've had to go through the struggle more recently, it can get very, very complicated transferring, just let alone transferring money from your bank account to these exchanges, let alone after that, knowing what to do with it. So you got to talk about that. If you're a trader and you try to get into trading, you make hundreds, if not thousands of trades every single year. Well, whereas in the past, you definitely could have gotten away with that kind of under the table and no government's going to really know what you're doing. That's not going to happen. We are moving more and more with that KYC to where the IRS is going to start cracking down. So this business, Plaid, is going to make its money off of these newer people. But that's why it's so important for us as influencers to continue to harness our platforms to educate the public on how to do things themselves. Just like you were talking about, Lifer, you don't trust this, I don't trust this. I'm the newest one here on the panel, and I know enough now to know, hey, you do not trust these types of platforms. But guess what? It's not even an issue of lack of trust. There are so many people who are trying to get into the crypto space, and not necessarily right now as we're in the bottom of a bear market, but within the last year and a half, there are people trying to get in the space and they're so uneducated on this. They've never seen anything like this. They've never seen money like this that's decentralized. They don't know what they're doing, and they're willing to forego because they've been programmed to do so by their entire lives, living whatever country you live in, no matter what it is, you've been programmed to understand, hey, I got to give up some of my freedom to get help from centralized systems. And that's all we know. So until we know any better, until we actually start seeing crypto, specifically, I think Bitcoin and other ones like it, actually their use case where it's decentralized, we're doing it for ourselves, we do not allow the government to get in and get involved with all of our money, and we kind of have that monetary revolution. Unfortunately, we're going to need things like this. And when I say we, I mean crypto in general. People who want to invest are going to need someone to come around and hold their hand and look at their numbers and look at their passwords and look at all this stuff. And it's scary, but unfortunately, that's the world we live in at this point.
All right. Now, Crypto Blood, Tim brought up a good point. He doesn't trust them. Lifer doesn't trust them. I think I could speak safely for Ben. I don't think Ben trusts them. I don't trust them. No one trusts them. We've seen hacks in the past. It's a lot different when Plaid would get hacked versus Target, I think, or a Starbucks.
Target.
Are we Target? I apologize. Are we ever, is there ever going to be a future where we can trust? Is there going to be a decentralized version of this one day? Or is the Soul token going to solve all problems? Do you ever see a future where we feel comfortable, whether it's a KYC company, maybe, so maybe it's a new company forms, maybe without all the baggage of Plaid with the $58 million lawsuit? Is there ever a future where we're okay, the crypto natives are okay saying, fine, you can have my information?
Of course not. The crypto native shouldn't be. That, as Tim said, this is the whole point of us getting into this space. I like what Ben said, though. I think that we definitely should look at other solutions. There are ways for us to do this, to achieve what they're looking to do, Plaid. There are ways for us to do that on the blockchain. So, I don't know if Ben remembers Civic back in 2017. They attempted to do something like that. Of course. There are ways for us to, even on like EOS and other blockchains, they've attempted to do biometrics, where you use biometrics to create a signature and that kind of syncs it to your wallet and identifies you. Proof of identity is what I'm getting to, right? That is the future. We can leverage and use that in blockchain without using people like Plaid as intermediaries to make that happen. So I'm hoping that we come to our senses. We have the technology. We have the capabilities to make this happen without a central unit or entity doing that for us. Will it happen though? Probably not. Like you said, DEEZY, Target hacked, everyone's data was leaked, nobody cared. We're back at Target spending money. So you know, I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest with you. I think we're going to go the way of plaid. That's why I got my 8 different plaid shirts on today, representing plaid gang. Let's go.
Hey, plaid gang. Hey, my mutant ape has a plaid shirt. All right, last topic, Matic and Lifer. I might ask you about the chart. Huge partnership. We were talking about it this morning, and this Polygon is one of 6 organizations that's going to participate in Disney's accelerator program. And Matic had an insane pump from the news. I pulled up the charts here. Matic up 21% so far. Look at this market cap, though. 5.5. Avalanche, 5.5. Shiba, 5.8. So very quickly, looks like it might be passing Avalanche and Shiba if the bullish momentum can continue. So we have Polygon moving up. I want to ask you, Lifer, what are the charts? How did the markets react to this news? And again, a lot of details will be coming out with this Disney partnership, but looks like Disney just wanted a low-cost, quick, you know, they don't want to put ETH gas fees on their customer base, so it looks like they're using an L2 solution here. What is the charts? I mean, 21%. For a top 20 coin, that's a lot of buying pressure. How long can this last?
Yeah, well, you'd think Matic would have thought about the partnership themselves with the goings on lately, but it's funny. No comment. You know, the thing about Matic is this, right? I hold a lot of Matic personally. I've always liked it. I remember when I was up waiting for it to IEO. I remember the night it IEO'd. So Matic, I had it in this falling wedge. We were watching it getting tighter and tighter. Falling wedges do break up 68% of the time, right? It fell, and then look what it made. A really strong bullish divergence. That's why I'm saying, show me the charts and I'll show you the news. Why was there a bullish divergence before Matic did the news? Do you think these companies have analysts, and do you think they see the charts, and do you think they might actually put news out with some probability? Like if they see a falling wedge, I think there's some, you know, what comes first, the horse or the carrot kind of thing, snake biting its tail. Like, I think there's some cycle of that. I would, if I owned a company, I would definitely put news out with some probability of it. I've had an analyst and I tell him, hey, what's the most probability? Let's news this with a move above support if we can, you know, at least. Like, why not put news out right when you hit resistance? Now you can see it also made this, you know, kind of double bottom and then moved up and made a higher low. We traded it. My group's a bunch of savages, 600 traders. Even if I don't see it, they're all over. They were trading Matic. We traded Matic 3L actually on a flag at the end of my live, and that went up 38% because I do trade leverage 3S tokens on KuCoin though. You can't get liquidated, so that's why. But so it's moving up. It's just like Bitcoin right now. I just flipped to Bitcoin, and I believe Bitcoin was showing a diamond. A quick little, I had it up, but Bitcoin's showing a diamond on the 1 hour, could get rejected by this area. This 20,005, 20,006 point of control for Bitcoin is huge. Matic will follow Bitcoin even with this news. So if Bitcoin starts to come back down, you're going to see Matic get rejected. Matic must get above this consolidation, you know, this chop here. Once it gets above here, it will stay at 76 and it can actually start to move. It does have a measured move out of what is a bit of a symmetrical triangle. You would take the base here, swing that over, and that's where we should go. I have it measured up 71% from the bottom of the triangle where I like to get in. I like to buy low stochastics at the bottom of a pennant. But yeah, so that's my analysis for Matic. You know, yeah.
I appreciate that. We're running out of time, so I'm going to make the last few questions a little quick. Now, let's pull up this market cap one more time of Polygon. We have it right here, firmly in the number 16 spot. Crypto Blood, I'm going to ask Tim, you the same question here. 1 year from now, is Matic a top 10 coin? Crypto Blood, can it crack the top 10? Can it climb 6 spots here?
Sarate.
All right. Tim, what would you say? Are we not a price prediction, but a rank prediction? Yeah.
I think as long as Ethereum continues to, you know, delay that ETH 2.0, I think there's a very strong possibility that Matic will be top 10. But even then, I think if ETH 2.0 comes out, I still think there's a scenario in which Matic can still negotiate around the market and still be extremely useful. Top 10 might be asking a lot if ETH 2.0 comes out here sooner rather than later. But as long as ETH 2.0 takes its sweet time, Matic is a great one to get in on.
All right, and
you want to hold your breath, Tim?
Ben, I'm going to ask you more of a conspiratorial question. Lifer got my creative juices flowing here. When he was saying, you know, it looked at this divergence, you know, it's almost like they timed this news. We have talked about that before with a rich individual by the name of Elon Musk. You look at these Doge charts, you look at these Bitcoin charts, it was almost too coincidental, the number of tweets that just kind of was timed perfectly. Do you think there's any merit to that? That, you know, some of these companies, some of these large individuals, they time their buys and their tweets specifically to, you know, looks like it's about to go up, looks like it's about to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about that. I mean, we've looked at several times. I love to call this guy out, Scott Menard. He literally reverse indicates the market intentionally to try to get people to do the opposite and literally does the action the same day. Like, Bitcoin's going to 600K. It was 40K that day. He sold all of it. Like, guys, let's be for real. What we see in crypto with the manipulation behind the scenes in the market, there certainly is that. It is nothing in comparison to what we see in the traditional markets. The only difference is blockchain allows them to get caught a lot easier doing it. And so this is something we'll see more of. But yeah, certainly there are people that take part in those kinds of things. And I think, look, people are hurting right now. Businesses are hurting right now. If you don't think that right now was the time when people are talking about coordination, trying to make a quick come up, then you're fooling yourself.
Yeah. And, you know, you say it happens in traditional markets more often. It makes me think of Jim Cramer, the person that's famous. You can famously counter trade him. I wonder if Jim Cramer is a victim more than the perpetrator in these circumstances. You know, he has a CEO of a Fortune 500 company tell him something. He's just going to say it. He might have been misled.
I think that is an interesting point. And certainly we talked a lot about that on this channel before, where influencers are preyed on by VC companies and by the founders. And once again, who gets all the blame for everything that happens in crypto? It's us. We get the blame for it. You know, even with this thing with Celsius, with Alex Mashinsky, they're trying to blame us. Like, no, guys, let's put the blame where it's due. It's the people behind the scenes that are lying to all of us 100%. And I think that this hopefully wakes people up to what's going on, you know, like I said, with the traditional markets, it has been forever. But Jim Cramer, like, he's on camera pretty much saying that he takes part in manipulating the market. There's a clip that went around a while back from several years ago where he basically said it, you know. So I would say I don't think he's as innocent as, you know, people think he is. I think there's a lot of coordination with things that he says as well. But, you know, I don't know how much he gains personally from it. I think he really gains more in the attention game than necessarily financially in his pockets.
All right. And speaking of gains, it looks like crypto lifer, the Larry Bird of crypto is what we like to call him here. Looks like you barely squeaked past the competition here. Feel free. We went along, but you know what? Leave us with some parting thoughts anyways.
You know, you're not supposed to, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I've just never liked Jim Cramer at all, man. You know, like one person was like, what? It's whatever, you know. They jump on the bandwagon. Then they tell you to buy ETH at $4,000. This guy's a clown. Anyway, let's focus on our team. Let's focus on the crypto people. Let's focus on the BitSquad, Lifer Gang, Crypto Blood, Crypto Jeb, Tim. All of us are coming through every single day. We're not stopping. We're bringing the energy. We're bringing the power. We're bringing the gusto. What did he say? The sarate?
Sarate, baby. Booty tang.
But you know, I love you all. Every time I come on here, I have a great time. It's like a family. I love you all. Everyone, stack your sats. We'll be here 4 years from now. We're going to be doing it. I'm telling you. I'm excited for where this space will go.
All right. Tip-a-tie. That is all we have time for today. And until next time, BitSquad. DEEZY out. Take my belt off.